Congratulations on the purchase of your AUSRV LX. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up the trailer and the main tent. An important part of setting up your camper is finding the right spot. You want a spot that's as level as possible. If it's not level, you need to chock the wheels so the trailer can't roll even while the handbrake is applied. Never trust the handbrake on any trailer. If the ground is on a slope, use wheel chocks every time. Once you find your spot, you need to get it level left to right. If there's a bit of a slope to one side, use stepped ramps or some kind of block to get the camper level, because you don't want to be trying to raise too much of the weight of the camper with the stabilizer legs. Now you're ready to unhitch. The unhitching process is always apply the handbrake, lower the jockey wheel, get that in position, then you can undo the coupling and detach it from the vehicle. The last thing you do is remove the safety chains in case the camper does move once you unhook the coupling. Then you can go about putting down the stabilizer legs. In order to make sure the camper is stable when you're using it, you need to put down all 4 stabilizer legs. To do that, you'll need to find the brace that's packed in the front of the camper and then lower each stabilizer leg. The easy way to do it is take the weight off the pins, pull it out and drop it down onto the ground. Now you can put your brace in on the hex drive and wind it down. With each stabilizer leg, you don't want to overextend it or try and take too much weight of the camper. Inside here are some small little bevel gears which have a roll pin through the gear to work onto the spline. They're only small and they act as a shear pin as well if you overload the stabilizer leg. So all you want to do is put enough force on it to keep the camper steady while you're inside using it. Our next step in the setup procedure is to put the boat rack up out of the way. First, you need to remove these 2 linch pins out of the back here. Take them out, just pop them up on top. Now we can open up the boat rack. When operating the boat rack, I like to use a length of rope so I can control the rack going back into its stored position. Also makes it easy when you want to close the rack later. To do it, undo the over center latches and we can let the rack go back. Now go to the other side, put it up into its vertical position and replace the pins that we took out earlier. If you've got goods stored on the rack and you want to leave them on when the rack is in the open position, you want to bring the rack back so this bar is horizontal and put your pins through the hole just there. Now, if you're not storing anything on here and you want to use the awning poles on the windows on this side of the main tent, what you can do is pull the rack back further and put the pin in underneath that bar. What that'll do is hold the rack back in a position so it won't interfere with the poles when you turn the windows on this side into an awning. Make sure you put both pins in and you're ready to go. Now my rack's out of the way, I can start unlatching the camper. Get all of them done on this side and go do the same on the other side. Before we flip the lids over, we need to lower the rear spare tyre rack, and to do that, we pull the safety pins back on either side. If you pull them out and turn them 90 degrees, they will sit back on 2 pins and won't go back into their locking position. Undo both, now we can lower the spare tyres. Now with the pins out of the way, we can lower our spare tyres down and they'll drop into position. Here are 2 bars that support the rear bed when the camp is set up. Need to remove the pins out and bring them out. Now they're on a swivel and they're also adjustable. So if you need to change the length of these, you can do so by turning this top one. So it's on a thread with a nut, so you can turn it and adjust it so your bed's sitting at 90 degrees to the rear wall. So we'll get them ready to go. Now we can open up the top. Always open the front first. That is the one that sits over the top of the rear lid. And bring it over. On either side, there is a latch to latch the bed down so it stays down in position. So be sure to attach each of those either side before you get in and set up. On the rear bed, there's a couple of eyelets, one either side, which is where the extendable arms attach to with the linch pin. So now we push the lid over. Get our linch pin and we can attach the rear stays. That's simple. Do both sides, then we're ready to set up the tent. To open the door, which also incorporates the steps, you'll need to use the largest key that comes with your camper. Your little triangular drive on the top, put that into the lock and turn them counterclockwise. Now we can open it up. On the inside of the step are your aluminium steps here. These are adjustable. This bottom bar here can be extended by removing the linch pins either side and extending it. There's a series of holes there to adjust the length. Depending on how you set up, if the camper's been raised a little to level it out on uneven ground, this is how you compensate on your step, because you want your step to be solid and safe to step on. Right now we're spot on. And remember, if you do extend that adjuster bar at the bottom, when you pack up your camper, you need to return it to its lowest setting before you close the camper up, because you don't want the internal poles to strike the adjuster bar. The structure of the main tent incorporates 5 what we call bow poles. They are a U-shaped pole which are fixed inside the camper permanently. They consist of one running forward to the top corner, a second one running up from here, same at the other end, and then in the center is another bow pole. The center bow pole, when packing up the camper, is not fixed into the Velcro on the roof itself. It's removed from the Velcro and laid down on the inside out of the way. So when we jump in the camper to set it up, we need to get in, fix this center bow pole, which is laid down into the Velcro straps on the roof. Then we can raise the rest of the bow poles, then fit our spreader poles, which run between each bow pole to tension the tent out. And at each end, at the end of the bed, are 2 vertical poles to support the very first bow pole at each end. Before we put in the spreader poles and get the shape of our main tent correct, check to make sure that your tropical roof pole isn't laying down flat on the roof. If it is, grab another pole, preferably be one with a rubber cap, and just push it up into position so it sits upright. That way, when you put in the spreader poles, zip up all your canvas and make the final adjustments, the tropical roof itself won't stop you from getting the inner roof taut. So that's our main tent setup complete. There's some rules you should always follow. When you're extending poles and adjusting them inside the tent, don't over tighten them. If you overextend the poles, try and make the canvas too tight, you risk tearing the materials or tearing the seam. So don't do it. You want your canvas to be taut, but not tight. Also, when you're making your final adjustments, do what I've done here. Zip up all the windows, zip up the door, then make all your final adjustments. So when you're finished, all the zippers and everything will operate perfectly. For more information, head across to our website and check out our other tuitional videos on our YouTube channel. Also, go to the website and download the owner manual. There's tons of great information that will help you get many years of great use out of your AUSRV product.